You're watching the Storybox TV. Like, comment, and subscribe for more. The Harmattan had come early that year, sweeping across Umudim village with a dry, unrelenting breath. Dust clung to roofs, to plantain leaves, to the very throats of the people. It was the kind of season where tempers cracked as easily as calabashes, and old grudges found fresh life in the brittle air. Nnenna adjusted her faded wrapper as she passed Obiora's compound. Her footsteps were brisk, her eyes sharp. She did not greet him, not anymore. To her, Obiora was a thief wearing the mask of a neighbor. She remembered every missing hen, every half-filled basket of cassava, every story whispered across the village. Her heart insisted his hands were behind it all. She carried her suspicion like a bundle balanced on her head, shaping every glance, every silence. At night, she would sit with her children, tuning her small radio, the last gift from her late brother. Its crackling music and distant stories were her comfort, proof that not everything precious could be stolen. That morning, as the wind blew leaves across the dusty path, Nnenna paused by the stream. Her mind wandered to the last quarrel with Obiora, over a missing fowl. He had denied it on his father's grave, but she had spat in the dust and walked away. A thief does not stop being a thief because he swears, she had muttered. Returning home, she glanced at the small wooden shelf in her hut and froze. The radio was gone. Her chest tightened. Anger flared. "Obiora!" she shrieked, startling birds from the nearby iroko tree. "Even my radio you have taken." The Harmattan carried her words across the village. By the time she stormed into the square, a crowd had gathered, drawn by the scent of scandal. The accusation, the square of Umudim, filled with murmurs. Women abandoned their grinding stones. Men left palm wine calabashes under the shade of the udala tree. Children huddled at the edges. At the center, Nnenna's voice carried like a war drum. "I said it before, and I say it again. Obiora is a thief. My radio has vanished, and who else but him?" Gasps rippled through the crowd. Obiora, broad-shouldered and calm, pushed through, hands raised. "Nnenna," he said, voice heavy with restraint, "you cannot place such weight upon me without proof. On my father's grave, I have not set foot in your hut. May the gods strike me if I lie." Some villagers believed Nnenna's fierce certainty. Others doubted, aware of her grief and bitterness. Suspicion in Umudim grew like a seed, nourished by silence and gossip. Nnenna's glare burned. "Your oaths are empty. Every time I lose something, the shadow of your compound stretches across mine." The village head raised a hand. "Peace. Words alone cannot settle this matter. If we are to find truth, let the gods be our judges." Nnenna seized the chance. "Yes, let the oracle speak. If Obiora is guilty, may his household never know rest." Obiora's lips tightened, but he nodded. "Let Okechi decide. My hands are clean." Whispers followed Nnenna as she walked home, chest swollen with grim satisfaction. Far away, in a university hostel, her son Cheeky turned the dial of a small radio, oblivious to the storm his innocent borrowing had unleashed. Shadows of the gods. The path to Okechi's shrine was a narrow, winding trail through dense groves. Nnenna climbed barefoot, dust rising with each step. A group of villagers followed, elders, curious women, and young men eager to watch divine justice unfold. The shrine crowned the hill. Its mud walls were painted in swirling Enzu chalk patterns that seemed to shift. Cowrie shells and palm fronds rustled like whispers. At the entrance stood the Dibia, Okechi's priest, streaked in chalk, raffia skirt brushing his legs, staff carved with a coiled serpent in hand. "Why bring your quarrel here, woman?" he demanded. "My radio, the last gift of my brother, has been stolen. I accuse Obiora. whose hands are never clean. Let Okechi reveal the truth, she declared. Obiora stepped forward, grim, lips pressed tight. I did not take her radio. Let the gods strike me if I lie. The Didia sprinkled libation of palm wine, calling the market days, Eke, Orie, Afo, Nkwo. Cowries rattled on a goatskin. His voice deepened into ancient incantations. The villagers bowed, fearful of divine eyes. Finally he spoke. Okechi has spoken. If the thief does not return the stolen item by Nkwo market day, the spirit shall claim the thief's bloodline, one by one. Gasps erupted. The weight of prophecy pressed on every shoulder. Nnenna's heart pounded. Obiora stood still, fists tightening. The decree was clear. The hidden truth. Chike, far from the village, smiled as music flowed from the radio. To him, it was a harmless bridge between the hostel's loneliness and memories of home. He had no idea that each note spilling from the speaker was another spark, feeding a fire that would soon engulf his family. Back in Umudim, every sunrise counted down toward Nkwo market day. Conversations were hushed, children called in early, doors barred. Fear clung to Obiora and his wife, Nkechi. Even the elders, who usually chewed kolad in relaxed debate, whispered of the curse. Nnenna walked the village like a judge, head high, wrapper tight, eyes scanning for signs of guilt. To her, Obiora was already condemned. Fear and misery. Obiora worked in his farm, machete striking weeds with restless force. Sleep refused him. He muttered under his breath. Bitterness thick in his voice. What is a man without his name? A thief is never forgiven, even if innocent. Nkechi begged him to reveal the truth. Return the radio if you have it, she whispered. I swear again, I do not. Meanwhile, strange occurrences stirred in the village. Shadows moved oddly. Fireflies clustered unnaturally. The wind carried whispers. Fear hung in every home. Nnenna's obsession grew. She stared at the empty shelf in her hut, chest tightening. Every creak of the roof, every scratch in the walls, every distant voice fed her certainty. Night brought more than darkness. Nnenna's hut seemed alive. The empty shelf rattled as if the radio was calling. Whispers rose from cracks in the mud walls. Small objects moved unseen. Even Chike's distant radio crackled with static, as if mocking her. For the first time, she wondered if her own obsession had summoned something darker than the village's old grudges. Obiora and Nkechi huddled in fear, listening to the wind's mournful whistle. They slept lightly, hearts thrumming in unison with the cursed days, ticking down to Nkwo. Nkwo market day. At dawn, Umudim's square filled. Whispers curled like smoke around the villagers. Children clung to mothers. Elders tightened their walking sticks. The tension was a living thing. Chike arrived, radio in hand, confused. Mama, I borrowed it for the hostel. Did I do wrong? Nnenna's eyes widened, but before she could speak, a sudden gust of wind rattled the stalls. A shadow moved across the square, a chilling chill that did not belong to the harmattan. The radio crackled violently in her hands, though no one touched it. Even with the radio returned, Okechi's decree was not undone. A goat in the market keeled over without reason. A fire in the shrine flared, smoke twisting unnaturally. Whispers ran through the villagers. Divine retribution had begun. Obiora trembled, hands at his sides, realizing that fear and suspicion, Nnenna's and his own, had summoned forces beyond mortal control. Echoes of retribution. By evening, calm returned to the square, but unease lingered. The curse had begun to touch lives subtly. Crops wilted, small fires started without cause, whispers haunted the wind. Nnenna's heart ached, not from fear, but from the realization that obsession can summon consequences she had not intended. Obiora, though innocent, would carry the shadow of suspicion forever. As the harmattan whistled through the village, a faint static hissed from the returned radio. Nnenna's eyes narrowed, a shiver running down her spine. Somewhere in the wind, Okechi's presence lingered. The curse was not over. And so, the village of Umudim returned to its rhythms, but with a secret tremor beneath every footstep. A reminder that suspicion, when nurtured, could awaken powers that watched from beyond the mortal veil.
Did you turn off the radio? This is just the beginning.
You're watching the Storybox TV. Like, comment, and subscribe for more.